Good morning, everybody. Welcome to EXSIN Live. It's Dave and Phil, and today we're going to ask a question of you. Does your team lack emotional intelligence? And as my favorite comedian said, if so, here's your signs, 7 of them.
Yeah.
So Lolly Daskal wrote a great article last week talking about 7 signs you lack emotional intelligence in your organization. We're going to talk about those with you, give you our input, and tell you what we think, because honestly, this is probably one of the most obvious things to see for the person who understands emotional intelligence, and the most non-obvious thing to see for the person who lacks emotional intelligence.
Yeah. I think, you got to be able to communicate, right? I know we're going to go through the 7, but you absolutely have to be able to listen, communicate. We'll dive into these 7 areas, but it all starts with everything. It starts with good listening skills and communicating.
Well, it starts with that. It also starts with the ability, which is challenging, and it was very challenging for me at a younger age, to manage your emotions. Because
some of us still have challenges at that time.
Great example on TV this weekend, Caleb Williams at a USC, great quarterback, but he was horrible on the sidelines, managing his emotion, completely lacked emotional intelligence in that game. He's young, it happens, but one of those things, if he's going to be an elite level athlete, is he's going to have to learn how to manage his emotions on the field for the good of the team.
Correct.
Emotion should only ever be used for effect.
I think it really showed, I don't know the young man, great athlete. He'll be worth $1 gazillion here in a year or two, but it showed just an overall lack of leadership. His body language, just everything. He'd go on the sideline, he'd set away from his teammates. That's typically not what you see from a good leader.
I know. And again, he's young.
Yeah.
He has a lot of, there's coaches that will help him work through that, hopefully. Yeah. But if you can't do that, you will not be a great leader.
Correct.
You just won't. And you will not lead at the next level. And you certainly will not lead in an elite level that you need to be a quarterback in the NFL. I would offer to you that it's up to all of us, old people, men and women, to help the younger folks understand the importance of managing their emotions, because there's other things going on when you're 20 to 25 years old in your body that make it harder to manage emotions. You get older, you get a little calmer, a little more wisdom.
Hopefully, still waiting for that day.
I'm
getting there.
You're better than you were.
Better than I used to be.
Yeah, I tell it gets better every day.
Still not very good. Better than I used to be.
The next one in here, and it's important, is if you have poor communication skills, and this is something you have to work on all the time, because I'll use me. I think faster than I speak sometimes, and I confuse people. And I know that. So I'm always working on how do I communicate better. Thank goodness Phil gives me the look. What'd you just say? What do you mean?
Well, we all have our things, right? Our buggity boos, right? The things that we do that everybody else sees that we're not aware of. Everybody has those things. And hopefully, if you have a solid team around you, they can help you grow through those things, right? But this topic's very difficult.
It is.
I mean, it's a very difficult topic. And this is definitely one of those areas you should strive for excellence. Perfection is probably never going to be reached, but definitely strive for excellence in it, because it's going to have such a huge impact on not just your business relationships, but all of your relationships. I mean, it's just going to be better. I know for me, Dave, you've seen this. There's certain people in my life that I don't have the ability to get mad at, right? Then there's other people in my life that they can make me mad in 2 seconds.
They walk in the room.
Right. Yeah. So it's just, and we all have those things to varying degrees, right? Some are more visible than others, but everybody struggles with that. So it goes back, I love to talk about being self-aware. That's a big part of what we're talking about here, right? Being situationally and self-aware.
That's a fact. The next one is difficulty building trust. And really, if you aren't emotional intelligent and you're giving people dirty looks all the time, they probably aren't going to like you.
Right.
Which means they're going to trust you. They're going to think you're hiding something. And one of the key things to trust is honesty and transparency, right? So, if you want to build trust with them, you got to work at it. You've got to be honest. You got to be transparent. You got to be forthcoming. You can't hide things. You got to tell people when you don't know what you don't know.
Can't live in the dark. You got to live in the dark. You got to live in the light, right? You got to let the light shine on everything you're doing. That'll take difficult situations, make them much more manageable and much easier to move through if you're living in the light. I'll just use myself as an example. Anytime I've ever struggled really badly was because I wasn't fully living in the light on something. I was holding something back. It could be Could be something as simple as, I don't want to hurt this person's feelings, so I'm not going to do what I know I should do. I'm not going to handle it the way I know I should handle it because I'm not living in the light on how I really feel about a topic. And inevitably, all that does is that just makes the problem worse. It magnifies, it grows, and then it becomes this horrible thing you got to deal with later. Remember, you still have to deal with it. So it's better to deal with it maturely, upfront, with transparency, living in the light. It'll go a lot smoother for you.
The next one is difficulty or inability to empathize. I will tell you, there is a show on Netflix. I cannot think of the name of it, but Woody Harrelson is a star. He's the coach. He gets in trouble and he has to go coach some kids that have learning difficulties. Through that movie, watching him change the way he dealt with those children and young adults and the way he learned to empathize was absolutely amazing. But the end of the movie is the best.
Yeah. Go ahead.
They're going to the national championship in Toronto, Canada, to play in this game, and they have the winning shot in the game. And one of the young men on the team only shoots the basketball backwards, and he has never hit the rim. During the play, they called timeout right from the game. Woody Harrelson, I'm going to ruin the movie for you, but that's all right.
Please do.
Woody Harrelson calls a timeout, draws up this play. Let's just say the play didn't go as expected. The young man shoots the shot backwards, misses the shot, and they lose the game. So I just ruined the movie for you. It's a great movie still. But the best part of the movie is that Woody Harrelson was frustrated because he lost. The young men and women he was coaching were thrilled to death because a young man hit the rim.
Yeah.
And he'd never done that before. Yeah. And I think we lose sight of what's important in life sometimes, and we lose the ability to celebrate what may not be a victory to us, but is a victory to our team.
Having empathy is such a big thing. You know, being able to put yourself in other people's shoes, being able to just empathize with what somebody's going through or what their life experiences are or what their life is like. You know, we all see these memes all over the place that'll say things like, be kind because it may change somebody's day. That's a true statement. I mean, many times we don't know the effect we have on people, good or bad, right? Especially if they're not folks that we see consistently or if it's just a stranger that you happen to have an interaction with. But, you know, try to really understand that the world's a tough old place out there. Business is tough. You know, personal lives, it's tough. There's a lot going on. Be kind. If you're kind, if you empathize with people, it'll go a long ways to making you a much better leader and them a much happier person and you through that.
And I think you made a good point here. One of the things that will help you do that, realize you're not the only one struggling.
100%.
Everybody is dealing with something. When you see that person driving like a fool on the interstate that goes past you and you want to dog cuss them, you don't know what's going on in their life.
Yep.
You don't know what they're dealing with. You don't know what call they just received. Yeah, I don't like it. It frustrates me to no end, but my wife has been really focused on making me step back and go, look, you need to show some grace and some compassion to people. Just because they're driving like an idiot doesn't mean they're a bad person.
My bride always told me, she goes, just smile and wave at them. She said, so if they are being a jerk, it'll make them mad. And if they're not being a jerk, they're just having a rough time, you just smiled and waved at them. You know, so it works either way.
Just poke the bear.
Just poke the bear.
I love that. The next one is difficulty with feedback. Now, fortunately for Phil and I, we have received so much feedback in our lives.
Boy.
We don't struggle with that. We've had the unfettered feedback in life, but there are people that do, and I think it's a learned habit, right?
Yeah.
You have to understand if you're struggling with feedback, then you're taking what they're saying personally, and you shouldn't.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're not poking at you being mean. They're trying to help you understand what other people see.
And I think taking the time as a leader to really create a culture and do basic things, right? Like say when you're getting ready to have a conversation, say, listen, we're going to have real open conversations right now. I want everybody to understand, you know, we're all pulling the rope the same way, working for the same outcome. No judgment here, no consequence. You know, we're here to get better. If you just take a few seconds and set the stage a lot of times in a group discussion, you'll have a better discussion, first of all, because it eliminates a lot of the tension that people are feeling like, well, I don't want to sound stupid. I don't want to expose myself for not knowing, all the things that every human being thinks about when they're communicating. You know, so just take the time as a leader and set the stage. It'll help a great deal.
Yeah, it will.
It will.
Next one, resistance to change. This is my favorite. This is one of my favorite ones because the reality of it is if you don't change, you will become irrelevant.
Oh,
the
boy.
world is moving fast, and it will leave you behind.
Really fast.
And if you're over 50 and you don't understand technology, then you're probably already getting left behind because your kids are wearing you out with all the stuff they're
Big
doing.
Chief crayon doesn't work anymore?
I love it.
I love Big
But you
Chief
have to
crayon.
understand technology.
That's right.
I mean, you cannot communicate. Well, you can, but not effectively with a
Right.
tin can and a string.
You can't?
Well, you can at a sleepover.
Oh, yeah. Inside joke.
So I would challenge everyone out there. If you are a leader or a middle manager, embrace change. Look for your young people to show you a path to do things differently and more efficiently, and let them try it. The worst that's going to happen is they're going to fail.
Yeah.
And they learn a lesson. The best that's going to happen is you're going to find a new way to do stuff that makes you more efficient and more competitive.
I had a guy used to always call it felling forward.
Yep.
So when you fail, you're going forward. So fell forward. Go ahead and fell forward. You know, as a leader, you want to make sure they don't drive the vehicle off the mountaintop while they're felling, but you're going to have to let them have fender benders. You're going to have to let them rub a little paint off the side once in a while. That's okay. You know, that's how they're going to learn. It's how they're going to grow. It's how they're going to get better. And also, as a leader, it helps you become better. It helps you learn more as a leader. So fell forward is a great philosophy, I think, for every organization to not just accept, but to embrace and encourage.
And a great image for that as a leader, give them the bowling alley bumpers, put those up, keep the ball out of the gutter, right? Keep the company out of the gutter, give them boundaries to keep the ball out of the gutter, and then let them go.
Yeah.
And then have the conversation when it works or doesn't work about what everybody learned.
Right.
Because a great way to grow the team and build a positive, embracing change culture. The last one. How many people have you seen with this one?
Oh, boy.
Lack of self-awareness. If you're the one in the room that doesn't have any friends or nobody wants to talk to, then you're probably the one that has the issue.
Yeah.
And if that applies to you,
Being self-aware is so important. I mean, you know, Dave's seen me in moments where Dave will say something, I know I'm doing that. I don't care. Right? True?
it's true.
And that's not good, but that's where I'm at in that moment. You know, if you're lucky enough to have a Dave, you know, who's shows grace and just mentors you through it, well, then you're in good shape. You know, and we all have those moments, right? The key is don't let it become a habit. Don't let it become a characteristic of who you are. Everybody's going to mess up. Everybody's going to have moments of not being self-aware. Everybody's going to have moments of not listening well. Everybody's going to have moments of not communicating well. We're all going to struggle at different times. But don't let them become who you are and a habit in your life. You know, we're human beings. We're going to muck things up. That happens. That does happen. But work on being self-aware. You know, somebody one time said, it was our good friend Chris said, "You just talk so loud." I said, "Chris, what has changed? I've always talked loud. This is who I am. I can't help that. It's part of who I am. It doesn't bother me. I know it scares the daylights out of some people and it annoys some people, but it is what it is. Now I'm self-aware about it. So as Dave can attest to, he's been to countless business meetings with me. I am very aware of when I need to be loud and when I don't need to be loud, right? And I can make myself mirror a room very easily. But if I'm passionate about something,
you're getting the full Monty.
You're going to get the full thing, you know, and you know, it is what it is, and that's okay. And so I'm telling you, when I tell you all that, embrace who you are. Don't try to change who you are, but make sure if it's causing you difficulties in being an effective leader that you're aware of it, and then you take the proper steps to not have it affect your ability to lead.
And I think the other thing with that is different personality types are going to receive things different ways.
Correct.
And part of being an effective leader is understanding that. Because when you do understand that and you do adjust how you are to modify to the people that are receiving the message, you're going to be a lot more effective.
Yeah.
You just really are. So with that, hey, if you're lacking emotional intelligence, there's 7 signs. Check your team out. Get better every day. With that, Dave and Phil, we are out of here.